Hi, welcome to my channel. In this episode, I'm going to be tackling two wood stools that I bought to go with my rail bar. If you haven't watched that video, I'll leave a link in the description. These stools are great for my small balcony, but they are super rough and I don't like the stain color. So, I'm going to refinish them and make them match my rail bar. So come with me while I work on them. First, I'm going to separate the top from the rest of the body. I'd like to protect the wood from the sun and the weather, so I think I'll apply polyurethane varnish everywhere. The base was held in place by a wood block and many screws. Sorry for my camera angle. Finally, you can see that the base was made of two pieces of solid wood. However, the stain must have been sprayed because it did not cover everything. I continued with the second stool. I started sanding with 120 grit sandpaper. I would later see that it was a mistake, because it took very long to clean. I should have chosen a lower number. I decided to continue with 120 grit. I hadn't realized yet that it was taking too long. Then I continued with the body and I realized that the legs were made of cheap pine wood. I mean, I love pine wood, it is wonderful, but these tools were not cheap. And in the ad it said they were made of recycled native wood. The rail bar was definitely reclaimed wood, but not the stools. Maybe the pieces of the top are, but not the legs. I don't like the way it looks. I'll have to do something while staining. I'll try to make it look less cheap. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. As I said before, this was really tedious. I started to think that I should have started with something coarser. Well, by that time I really didn't know whether I had lower grit sandpaper or not. But I was about to finish the first tool, so I went on. I checked and I didn't have any lower grit sandpaper, so I decided to stop for the day. Sorry, second stool, I'll start with you tomorrow. The following day, I went to my local hardware store and bought 60 grit sandpaper. The difference was enormous. I advanced really fast. Everything went quite straightforward. I sanded and sanded and sanded. I decided to finish sanding with 320 grit to smooth up the surfaces and the edges. I cleaned the remaining dust with a kitchen cloth and went on staining. I used a 5-in-1 Behr water-based stain in cedar in order to match my rail bar. I applied the stain with a foam roller and then wiped off the excess. If you're wondering why I wasn't wearing my gloves, I'm wondering the same. I stained both stools and let them dry overnight. The following day, the weather was horrible, I started applying poly. First to the back of the top. I started using a natural brush, but it kept on losing bristles while painting. I could not stand it and threw it away. I continued with a synthetic brush, and I had no problems after that. I scuff sanded with 320 grit before the second coat. I moved to the body, and as you can see, I apply the stain in a very irregular way so as to make it look more aged. Unfortunately, I did not record that, but you can see it anyway. After 2 coats and a couple of days drying, I decided to reassemble the stools. Here's my new wireless drill. I'm quite happy with it, and I'm going to try it for the first time. After assembling both pieces, I gave them a light sanding before applying the top coat. Now let's remember how they were before. And here they are now. I love how they match my rail bar perfectly, and I can't wait to share it with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Sorry. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. That way you can support more content. I have beautiful projects coming along, and your support will greatly help me. Thanks for watching.